Guys, so today we're going to be reacting to the top 10 scary Indian urban legends on YouTube. So, the channel this I'm taking from is called Most Amazing Top 10. Shout out to them. Alright, so let's begin. Alright.
Today we are continuing our world tour of urban legends with a highly requested country, India. India has more history than some other countries combined, and as always with history come stories, and some of them are pretty scary. My name is Danny Burke. If you're ready, let's take a look at the top 10 scary Indian urban legends. Starting off at number 10 now, we have the Munotchwa. In 2002, the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh was gripped by a panicked frenzy. People had reported seeing the Munotchwa, a beast that's name roughly translates to the face scratcher. It would reportedly dash through the air at night like a UFO, emitting red and green beams of light. When it got close, it would then slash people's faces with steel claws, leaving deep scratches that burnt and bled. As the panic continued, the theories began. Some people said it was an angry spirit or even an elemental creature. Pakistan's intelligence agency even chipped in to suggest it was a chemically engineered insect. Whatever it was, people were so scared they held special ceremonies at their local temples to ward away the face scratcher, and some believe it may return again. We have Nailba. In the 90s, there were reports of a witch visiting houses in Bangalore, India. She would come at night, knocking on the door and calling out to the person inside. What's really creepy is she was said to use the voice of one of the person's relatives, especially their mothers. If they opened the door, they'd be dead within 24 hours. As panic spread, rumours of a solution did too. Some said to write Nailba on the door, which means come tomorrow, so the witch would see.
Wait, this is actually happened in Andhra Pradesh too, but it's not Nirba, it's called Stree. Stree in Hindi or any Indian language, almost any Indian language, means woman. They used to write, oh Stree, come tomorrow. Just like this.
See the sign and just return the next day instead. For many years after, this became a tradition, a way of warding off evil spirits. Some say that Nailba has now been forgotten though by the younger generation, who have now put themselves at risk of the witch returning again. Next up at number 8 now, we have the Wolves of Pavagada. In 1983, several young girls younger than 5 went missing at night in the village of Pavagada. They were taken right under...
Where's Pavagada? Oh, it's in Karnataka. Sick.
Noses, but nobody saw who or what did it. On one occasion, villagers found a pool of blood and the clothes of the missing child. The footprints of an animal were visible, and the police dogs tracked the scent back to a cave, its entrance blocked by a wall of bricks. The police claimed that man-eating wolves were on the prowl. Others were confused though. Why would all the targets be girls if it was wolves? All of them the only daughters of their parents. Why were they always taken from their sleeping parents, and why were there no drag marks on the ground? One father even reported the wolf threw stones at him. This led some locals to believe the children were actually taken by a cult of black magic practitioners who were using them as a human sacrifice to the goddess Kali. To this day, the case remains a mystery. Coming at number 7 now, we have the milk miracle. 20 years ago, a rumor began spreading around India that Ganesh idols everywhere were drinking milk. When people held a spoon or bowl of milk to the lips of the idols, the milk would just slowly get depleted. In just a few hours, news of this has...
The capillary effect of the plaster of Paris made the milk come up, and then it went down again. So basically a waste of milk.
Spread beyond India to Hindu temples in the UK, Canada and the US, who were reporting the same phenomenon. Hindu organizations announced that a miracle was happening. Some scientists have claimed it was caused by a mix of surface tension, the capillary effect, and also confirmation bias. What do you guys think? At number 6 now, we have Jalek Dikhalaja. That's the name of a song by a popular Indian musician back in 2006. It dominated the music charts for weeks, but among all of the hype, there were some darker stories attached to it. Some people said the song was attracting the dead. In the small village of Balej, locals claimed that one of the lyrics was acting as a call for ghosts. They said people were becoming possessed by evil spirits after hearing the song, and they were going to their local priest to be cured. It was also claimed that listening to the song...
Wait, that's it? Oh, wait, no.
in the local graveyard was practically inviting a possession. In the end, fear of the song grew so much that the village actually banned it. Nobody was allowed to play it. Presumably, the possessions then stopped. Now we have Monkey Man. In 2001, people in Delhi claimed that an ape-like monster was roaming the streets at night. It was said to be attacking people. The description of the Monkey Man differed, but it was about 4 feet tall, covered in thick black hair, with a metal helmet, metal claws, glowing red eyes, and 3 buttons on its chest. Many people reported being scratched, and some even said 2 or 3 people died when leaping from the tops of buildings or stairwells in a panic. It's been years since the event, but some people still claim the Monkey Man is out there and could attack another day. Coming out number 4 now, we have Kuldara. Established in the 13th century, this used to be a prosperous Indian village for hundreds of years until the early 19th century when everyone disappeared. Years later, some historians said this was due to a lack of water or heavy taxes on the people there, but the legend is much darker. People say that the leader of the area was attracted to a beautiful girl from the village. He sent his guards to force the villagers to hand over the girl. The villagers asked the guards to instead return the next morning, and while they were gone, they abandoned the whole village. The village chief then cursed the abandoned village for eternity, meaning anyone who lives there will die. Those who have dared to stay there overnight have reported supernatural happenings such as shadows in the night, footprints, and mysterious noises. Next up at number 3 now, we have Mande Burung. For many people, this is the Indian equivalent of the North American Bigfoot. The Mande Burung is an ape-like creature said to inhabit the subtropical forests in northeast India. It's been described as a large, hairy, bipedal hominid. The locals call him the man of the jungle, and some say they've seen it for generations. More often though, they hear it, its strange calls echoing out across the rice paddies. Some say it stands 10 feet tall and weighs over...
Guys, the Vanas during the Ramayana were almost the same size as 10 foot. What if this is actually Hanuman? And Hanuman can even go shorter or taller. Who knows?
600 pounds. In 2008, a group of Yeti hunters gave 2 hairs they found to a renowned British primatologist. After examining them, Ian Redmond said they most closely resembled human, chimp, gorilla, or other so-called Yeti hair samples. But with or without science to back it up, the legend still lives on. Next up, number 2 now, we have the White Lady of Sanjay Van. In the forests of South Delhi, people have reported seeing a spectral woman in a white sari. She is said to walk among the banyan trees before disappearing into the night. Some reports say they've seen her hanging from the trees and that this is actually what ended her life. One local said she comes alive at night when those leaves start glowing. There are many such lovely spirits here. Personally, I wouldn't use the term lovely to describe that. She's also said to wave at you and then disappear. That's a definite note from me. And finally, number 1 now, we have the Onion Witch. In 2005, reports of a witch visiting homes in Delhi was said to be linked to a number of deaths in the Indian capital. According to the rumours, a witch in the guise of a hungry woman rang people's doorbells and asked them for an onion. If she was given the onion, she would cut it in half and blood would squirt out. The onion donor would then die instantly a moment after realising what was happening. Some say it wasn't just 1 but rather 3 witches doing this. Locals began applying palm prints of turmeric and henna on their doors to ward off the witches, and some still fear their return. Well, there you go guys. I've heard a lot of fascinating things about India in my life, but I must admit I was pleasantly surprised to find out that it has such creepy stories.
Alright guys, for part 2 that we did.
Discovered by any
scary rooms that you have stayed secret. What we did.
Secret rooms are secret for a reason. Obviously, what's inside is often not meant to be discovered by anyone else, just hidden away, hopefully forever. This doesn't always go to plan though. Sometimes people find these rooms and what's inside isn't always pretty, shall we say. Maybe the person who created them thinks they should have stayed secret. Maybe the world wishes that they'd never found out what's inside. Either way, my name is Danny Berg. we have the abortion clinic. We are beginning now with a really intense one, so I hope you are all ready. I have warned you. In 2012, it was reported that workers on a house in Missouri discovered a secret basement which used to be an illegal abortion clinic. The workmen found 2 human fetuses stored in jars there. They were protected by ceramic containers and covered with a cloth beneath an old medical examining table. The owner didn't seem to be surprised, as he had heard rumors from his parents that the house was being used as an illegal abortion clinic back in the 1950s. Police were called to decide on what to do with the fetuses, but they said they would not be investigating any further. If that sounds like a very strange discovery, we are only just getting started. Moving on to number 9 now, we have Joshua's room. A pair of house hunters in America were seriously disturbed by what they found in the basement of one house they were looking at. There were strange lookout holes in the stairs coming from the basement below. When they went down to the basement, they found graffiti written for what seemed to be a little boy called Joshua. The walls were covered with messages like, "Josh, stop reading this and go to bed. Mom." Another read, "Josh's rules. 1. No watching Isaiah through the hole, and 2. No writing or drawing on the walls." Another simply said, "Don't climb into my room, Isaiah." But for me, the most creepy one was, "Stop watching me." Who were Joshua and Isaiah? Why were they living in the basement, and who was watching them? People still discuss this story even today. At number 8 now, we have the gargoyle. In 2014, Imgur user Hickensaws shared their discovery of a secret room in their house. They said they were walking around their house one day when they noticed a window for a room they didn't even know existed. It looked like a cellar. Inside there was a workbench fastened to the wall. Then he found a wall panel cut, which he peeled back to reveal a door behind the workbench. Through that door laid a creepy looking room filled with junk. There were newspapers from the 1970s, old playing cards, a strange looking machine, and perhaps creepiest of all, an old gargoyle surrounded by broken bits of wood. Gargoyles are pretty creepy, even on a good day. Extra creepy when you find them in a secret room under your house. No thanks. At number 7 now, we have the squatter. This one comes from Imgur user 2Bite Brownie, who shared pictures of a creepy discovery in his house. He said he and his younger brother were playing around one day when one of them fell into a bookcase. It moved, revealing a hidden room behind it. They found a black staircase that spiraled downwards. By this point, they were already very freaked out. About halfway down, they found a crawl space, and to their absolute horror, it looked like someone had been living there. There was a makeshift bed covered in their own Halloween candy. They realized that whoever was living there must have crawled into their bedroom when they weren't there to steal candy from them before retreating back to their hiding spot behind the bookshelf. I think at that point I'd either be running out the front door or just jumping straight out the window. Moving on to number 6 now, we have black mold. Jason and Kerry Brown were a couple from South Carolina who were renovating their new home in 2005. They began to remove some bookcases in one of the bedrooms when they discovered a hidden passageway that led to a hidden room. Nervously, they walked down the dark corridor, and there, in the very small room at the end, they found a mysterious note from the previous owner. It read, "You found it. Hello. If you're reading this, then you found the secret room. I owned this house for a short while, and it was discovered to have a serious mold problem, one that actually made my children very sick to the point we had to move out." Kerry and Johnson were naturally very shocked by this. They eventually made contact with the previous owner, who went into more detail about that situation. After some tests on the house, they found it was true. The house had levels of black mold 4 to 5 times higher than the outside, potentially dangerous for young children. It seems that the house broker may have hid this information when selling them the house. Perhaps they should be thankful to the stranger and their slightly creepy note. Moving on to number 5 now, we have bad stomach. In 2013, some Norwegian students said their landlord told them there was a secret room somewhere in their house, but not where it was. That's creepy enough, but they actually found it and they took these pictures. One of them said it took them a long time to discover it, and said that it was actually found by accident when one of them was in the attic and just kind of stretched out. Suddenly, the wall behind them moved. Behind it, they found a tiny area filled with items from World War II. There was a mysterious sign that read, "If you have a bad stomach, you do not have access." There was also an alarm made of a single light bulb, an old map of Europe, and perhaps the most creepy object of all, a single white doll shoe. It was all quite a mystery until they were visited by some local historians who saw the post online. It turns out the room was used to secretly make newspapers during the Nazi occupation in World War II. Although they tried, the Nazis never actually found that room. All they needed to do was just stretch and push the wall. Simple. Next up at number 4 now, we have the crawl space. This one is a very small room. Very small indeed. Only enough room to crawl in. It was discovered in 2014 by Reddit user Lumberjack. He posted a picture to Reddit and what he discovered so far in it. The crawl space contained a strange looking locked door. Now through that door there was a room where the walls, floor and ceiling were totally covered in soundproofing boards and a plastic tarp. There were also 4 power outlets in a small area that looked like a raised single bed. The creepiest part was yet to come though. He found a briefcase. Inside that was an old jewelry box, envelopes with currency from all over the world and 4 1-ounce silver ingots. There was also a safe containing some old tapes. He couldn't play them though, and so decided to hand everything over to the police at that point. They refused
Alright guys. Wait, right?
to reveal the results of their investigation, sparking fierce debate about what this creepy room was all about. My guess is another squatter story. In 2013, Brett Muglin and Mark Hartman moved into their new off-campus house for their senior year at Ohio State University. After a few days in their new home, they woke one morning and found every door in their house had been opened. Everything. Room doors, the dishwasher door, the fridge dryer, washing machine, oven and microwave, all of them had their doors open. At first they thought it was just a college prank, but one day they heard noises coming from downstairs. They grabbed a baseball bat and a knife and went to investigate. When they reached the basement, they found a locked door no one had a key to, and there were sounds coming from inside. A few days later, one of their friends who was visiting said that they had met their new housemate Jeremy in the basement. Brett and Mark just froze and said, "We don't have a housemate called Jeremy." At that point, they called the landlord and the police, who went straight to that mysterious door. They prized open the door to find a secret room that a man had been living in the whole time they were there. There were pictures of him with his friends and family by the bed. The bed itself was unmade and there were books everywhere. The room even included a toilet and a bathroom. He had been using a secret side door to sneak in and out of the house. It turns out the man's cousin had lived in the house the year before, and when they all left, he just set up in this secret basement room. I wonder how long he was planning on staying for. Next up at number 2 now, we have The Last Supper. In Hanny's restaurant and bar, there is a secret room you can visit if you know where to look. You may not want to though. Deep in this basement in Arizona, you can find these dolls on display. At first, it looks like they've been randomly placed, but on closer inspection, the dolls seem to be set up to mimic the famous painting of The Last Supper. I presume the doll in the middle is meant to be Jesus. By the way, it's a very creepy sight to see, even if you are expecting it. If you just stumbled across it while you're looking for the bathroom, well, it's probably a good job you're already on the way to the toilet. And finally, number 1 now, we have Peter Pan. In 2010, 2 women clearing out an abandoned basement in an old building in LA made a very gruesome discovery. They found the bodies of 2 babies from the 1930s. The bodies were wrapped in sheets and hidden in 2 doctor's bags, along with some crumpled 1930s newspapers and other belongings. The trunk had the name J.M. Barrie on it. Now, she was a nurse from Scotland. She had the same initials as James M. Barrie, the Scottish author of Peter Pan. Yeah, the Peter Pan. What's strange though is that there appears to be no connection between the 2 of them. A copy of Peter Pan and membership papers for the Peter Pan Woodland Club Resort were also included in those findings. Coroners said there were no signs of trauma on the babies or that they had been aborted. One had reached full term while the other was much smaller and could have been born prematurely. This mysterious and grisly case is still ongoing, and many people online have taken it upon themselves to solve this mystery. Well, we did it. We opened up those rooms. Did you guys like what we found? If you did enjoy that, I've got good news for you. There are lots of secret rooms in the world. Humans seem to love making secret rooms.
Find that. I'll see you in my next video. Peace.